Imagine waking up one day and realizing you're an ant. No freedom, no personal choices, just endless work from the moment you're born till the day you die. You're smaller than a pencil eraser, born into a world where everything wants to eat you. The sun feels like a blowtorch, a raindrop hits like a meteor, and your entire existence revolves around serving a queen you'll never meet. Welcome to life as an ant, a creature so overlooked, yet so fascinating. Ants are some of the most hardworking and disciplined creatures on Earth. They live in highly organized colonies, but their lives are anything but easy. They are constantly at risk from predators, starvation, and even their own colony rules. Today, we'll take a deep dive into the brutal, unforgiving life of an ant and why it's one of the toughest existences in the animal kingdom. Let's see the unseen struggles of these tiny warriors of nature. 1. The burden of being born an ant. If you're born an ant, from the moment an ant hatches from its egg, you don't get a choice in your career. Your role is assigned at birth. Are you a worker, a soldier, a forager? Too bad. Your DNA decides. Worker ants, the backbone of the colony. These ants spend their entire lives collecting food, building tunnels, taking care of larvae, and defending the nest. They are constantly exposed to danger, whether it's from predators, rival ant colonies, or environmental threats like floods. Soldier ants, born to fight. Soldier ants have powerful jaws and a sturdy build. Their sole purpose? To protect the colony at all costs. They are the first line of defense in any battle, meaning their lifespan is often brutally short. Queen ants. Sounds like a privileged position, right? Wrong. While the queen does get to lay thousands of eggs, she is essentially a prisoner in her own colony. If the workers decide she's no longer useful, they may starve her to death and replace her. No matter what role an ant is born into, one thing is certain: there's no escape from duty. 2. The never-ending responsibilities. Worker ants travel long distances in search of food, sometimes covering the equivalent of several football fields in human terms. The worst part? They often have to fight off other insects, avoid deadly predators like birds and spiders, and carry food that is sometimes 50 times their own body weight. Imagine spending your entire life digging tunnels, carrying sand, and fixing structures, all without a single break. That's the reality for worker ants. Whether it's rain, an enemy invasion, or a collapsed tunnel, their job is never done. Soldier ants are constantly on alert, whether it's another insect trying to invade their territory or rival ant colonies waging war. These ants are the first to charge into battle. Many of them never make it back. Some worker ants are assigned the job of taking care of the young. They feed, clean, and even relocate larvae to safer areas if needed. If food runs low, they may even be forced to eat the weaker larvae to ensure the survival of the strongest ones. 3. The frequent confrontations. Ants don't just have responsibilities, they also live in a world of constant conflict. Every single day, they face deadly encounters that can wipe them out in an instant. Let's break down the terrifying battles an ant has to endure. A. Battles between rival ant colonies. One of the most brutal aspects of an ant's life is the constant threat of war. Ant colonies are highly territorial, and when two colonies cross paths, violence is almost always inevitable. Massive wars. Some ant wars involve millions of soldiers from both sides, clashing in epic battles that can last for days or even weeks. Entire colonies can be wiped out in a single invasion. Chemical warfare. Some ants, like the Formica species, spray acid on their enemies to burn and weaken them before launching an attack. Others release pheromones to signal reinforcements, turning small skirmishes into all-out wars. Brutal slave raids. Some species, like Amazon ants, invade weaker colonies, steal their larvae, and force them to work as slaves for the rest of their lives. The enslaved ants are brainwashed into serving their captors, never realizing they were stolen from their original home. B. Predator attacks. Even if an ant avoids war, it's still at risk of becoming food for another creature. Ants are near the bottom of the food chain, which means they're constantly being hunted. Deadly predators of ants, spiders. Many spider species specialize in catching ants. Some spin sticky webs over ant trails, trapping entire groups of ants at once. Others, like the trapdoor spider, hide underground and ambush unsuspecting ants. Ant-eating birds. Birds, such as woodpeckers, sparrows, and starlings, feast on ants by the hundreds, swallowing them whole without a second thought. Lizards and frogs. These creatures use their long tongues to scoop up dozens of ants in a single lick. Anteaters, as their name suggests. Anteaters survive entirely on ants, using their sticky tongues to devour tens of thousands in a single day. C. The horror of parasitic invasions. If war and predators weren't enough, ants also have to deal with mind-controlling parasites. One of the most terrifying parasites is the zombie fungus, Ophiocordyceps, which infects an ant's body, takes control of its brain, and forces it to leave the colony. The infected ant then climbs to a high point, where the fungus bursts out of its body, releasing spores that infect even more ants. Some wasps also use ants as hosts for their larvae. They lay their eggs inside an ant's body, and as the larvae grow, they slowly eat the ant from the inside out until it dies. In short, an ant's life is not just about working. It's about surviving endless battles against enemies, predators, and even mind-controlling parasites. The harsh environment. Even if an ant manages to avoid war, predators, and parasites, it still has to battle nature itself. A. Surviving extreme weather conditions. Ants live everywhere, from the hottest deserts to the coldest forests. But surviving in these harsh conditions is no easy task. Rain is one of the biggest threats to ants. A single heavy downpour can drown an entire colony. Some ants, like fire ants, have developed a defense mechanism where they link their bodies together to form a living raft and float on water until they find dry land. However, many ants aren't so lucky and end up drowning. In deserts, temperatures can rise above 60 degrees Celsius, 140 degrees Fahrenheit. Ants must rush out of their nests, collect food quickly, and return before the sun literally burns them alive. Cold temperatures slow ants down. Some species hibernate underground, while others store food to survive. But if the winter lasts too long, they risk starvation and freezing to death. B. Starvation and resource shortages. Ant colonies require huge amounts of food to sustain their massive populations. But what happens when food runs out? Cannibalism. In extreme conditions, ants turn on each other. The weaker ants are killed and eaten to keep the stronger ones alive. Raiding other colonies, some ants steal food from weaker colonies, leading to full-scale wars over resources. Sacrificing larvae. Worker ants sometimes eat their own young to ensure the survival of adult workers and the queen. C. The constant threat of being crushed. Perhaps the biggest and most common threat to an ant's life is humans. Every time you step outside, there's a high chance you've accidentally stepped on hundreds of ants without even noticing. People spray insecticides, flood nests with water, and burn colonies just to keep their houses clean. Some cultures even eat ants as a delicacy, making them a food source for humans as well. For ants, the environment is an unforgiving battlefield where survival is never guaranteed. 5. The resilience of ants. Despite all these horrors, ants have not only survived but dominated the planet for over 140 million years. What makes them so successful? Their unbelievable strength and adaptability. Ants can lift 50 times their own body weight. That's like a human lifting a fully grown elephant. This allows them to carry large food pieces, build massive nests, and fight off enemies. Ants can survive in almost any environment, from deserts to rainforests to underground caves. They've evolved strategies to deal with extreme heat, cold, and even floods. They're perfect social organization. Ants are one of the most disciplined creatures on Earth. Every ant has a job, and they perform it with military precision. There's no laziness or rebellion, only efficiency and teamwork. Ants communicate through pheromones, leaving scent trails to guide their colony. This allows them to coordinate food collection, attacks, and even evacuation strategies. Some ant species have medic ants that clean and heal wounded soldiers, increasing their survival rates after battles. The ultimate savior. No matter how brutal their lives are, ants never stop fighting to survive. If their nest is destroyed, they rebuild it. If food runs out, they adapt their diet. If they are invaded, they fight back with everything they have. Ants may be tiny, but they are some of the toughest and most resilient creatures on Earth. So is being born an ant truly the worst thing ever? From our human perspective, it absolutely is. No rest, no freedom, and constant battles make an ant's life seem like pure suffering. But despite all these hardships, ants continue to survive, evolve, and thrive. They have built some of the most complex societies in the animal kingdom, outlasting many other species and proving that discipline, teamwork, and resilience can overcome even the toughest challenges. The next time you see an ant struggling to carry a crumb, remember, it's not just working hard, it's fighting for its life. And that's why it sucks to be born as an ant. But it's also why they are one of nature's greatest success stories. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more amazing content.